It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. With us today is Ibrahim Basit. He's with Immunicom. Ibrahim, thanks for being with us at the Talking Hedge.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Josh. How are you?
I am doing all right. We met each other in Monaco. France is kind of a hot spot for COVID, and I'm getting over that. Very mild, thankfully. Yeah, trucking right along. Good to see you again. For those that aren't aware of Immunicom, what is it? How'd you get involved?
Okay, yes. So Immunicom is a late-stage clinical oncology biotech company, and we've actually developed a subtractive therapy platform through which we capture cytokines or molecules that are not needed in your body, so your natural immune system can work on certain stage 4 tumors. So for instance, Immunicom is actively doing clinical trials in 3 countries, that is in Europe, in Poland, Israel, and Turkey, on lung cancer, breast cancer, brain metastases, and melanoma. And so essentially the way it makes us a little different of a cancer company is we do not inject anything in your body. So if anything, we actually subtract targeted molecules so your immune system can work. And we've done about 67 patients so far, over 2,000 immunotherapy, and hopefully in the next year and a half, we plan to get FDA approval.
That's not an easy process. How long have you been in the works for FDA approval?
So we've actually done our pre-sub. Our device, we call it the drug and a device combination. It's a medical device. So we've gotten an FDA breakthrough device designation title already back in 2020. What that does is an FDA actually will be approving us for all stage 4 cancer. So it's going to be a life-changing technology coming into cancer, and we're able to actually, we're looking some very promising results in a lot of triple negative breast cancer. As Josh, you may know, there's no cure for triple negative breast cancer at a stage 4 level. So this is going to be a revolutionary breakthrough, and FDA, we plan to get approval in multiple tumors, multiple cancers, starting end of 2023 onwards. So we've already started the work. We actually have an FDA regulatory guy in our team at Immunicom who's helping them get through it. Since our device is already approved to commercialize in Europe, so that actually gives us a little bit of an edge in terms of data. So we have enough data to go to FDA to start our trials over here.
This is exciting, but part of me thinks that this is just going to get shelved. It seems like every time there's something where there is a cure for cancer, it gets acquired, somebody purchases it, and then they just put it on the shelf. So humor me for a second and explain to me how you're going to continue to be in business and not run the same path that a lot of other folks have gone down, where they're either been discredited or had their labs destroyed, or just acquired and never seen the light of day. Because there's when we were talking in Monaco, I mentioned that there was a gal, there's a Black woman, she's a doctor, and her experiences in lasers, but then she used a telescope technology in order to isolate this. So if you're not using pharmaceutical products or petroleum byproducts, it seems like you're out of the loop. You're going to be a target by that mafia.
Yeah.
So how are you planning on staying in business, and are you at all worried about those possibilities?
So that's actually a great question, and that's something we've actually built a strategy. So this company is the CEO of this company, Amir Jaffrey. He actually has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare technology, and he indeed was an ex CTO of Cardinal Health. So he actually used to look at these companies all the time, and like looking at how it syncs with a particular model at Cardinal Health, reject or accept. So in order to answer your question, what our therapy does is, so we've shown a proof of concept as a monotherapy, but not only that, we've actually done in conjunction with chemotherapy and immune checkpoint inhibitor drugs out there. So strategically, Immunicom is designed in a way not to get our neck cut off, but actually to work in conjunction with already existing therapies and technologies that are out there already. So that's where we see it as an exit opportunity for one of the bigger pharmas or medium-sized pharmas to realize the potential of this technology and use in align with their already existing therapies. Because essentially, if you think about it, if you take something out of your body and let your immune system naturally work, like you and I, we've been able to beat COVID because of your immune system. So your immune system gets better and starts acting on the tumor, which otherwise, had been enough in the body where the doctors had told a lot of our patients that we get, the doctors have told them that you only have a few weeks to a month or a couple months to live. So just go home, spend time with your family. And one of our longest standing patients is still alive for 20 months. Now, if I say, I'm not going to name any a pharma company, but if I say, initially the patient was not able to tolerate the toxicity of certain drugs, still since they're actually already on the stage 4 of their cancer tumor growth, if they're not able to sustain the toxicity, the doctors take them off of the medicine. But with our therapy, what we saw is in conjunction with the therapy, the toxicity level goes down. So now those drugs which were ineffective or the patient could not tolerate that treatment no more are becoming more effective with our therapy because we're capturing those cytokines that causes toxicity. So what that does is it gives an extension of life to the patient and the quality of life. The positive aspect of quality of life goes up the radar. We've had people, Josh, who hadn't been to work for the last 3 to 5 years, and they actually started going back to work. People actually started going back on the soccer fields, and then started doing some normal day-to-day gardening. If you look at the economic impact of that, you probably may have a workforce that otherwise was going another direction come back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how is it that you're able to isolate it? It's very similar, I think, in nature to the gal I was mentioning, Dr. Hidayah Nicole Green. She became the first person to successfully cure cancer in mice using laser-activated nanoparticles. What is exactly that you're doing to where people don't have to lose hair or have any other, you're not blasting the whole body, right? And kind of killing the patient at the same time. What is it about that your technique and why is it so unique?
So basically, what we do differently is like I said, we have a subtractive therapy column or a platform through which we have our I don't like the word, but for the lack of a better word, secret sauce in it. It's the protein bindings. It's like in the beads combination for our lead product. If I were to go a little bit on a science side, solid tumor causes a lot of soluble tumor necrosis factor, STNFR1 and 2 in your blood that causes toxicity. But going back in the literature, we're not doing something that's not out there already. Going back in the literature says, if you were to leach it with tumor necrosis factor, TNF alpha, you can actually capture those STNFR1 and 2. So what our column does is get attached to an apheresis system where we take in the plasma of a patient into that column, and that column with the bead combinations of TNF alpha for our lead product, it captures only STNFR1 and 2 and then your plasma goes back into the patient's body.
Mm.
So what we do differently outside the body is we're only taking a target molecule and we build our small molecule protein combination in-house in San Diego, California. And with our R&D team, we build those and we try them in an R&D phase, do preclinical, and then take it to the human level. So every target that we want to target in the next 4 to 5 years, we are working on building that molecule that will help us only subtract that targeted molecule, and the rest of your blood chemistry does not changes. That's one of the reasons, we do not have any side effects of this therapy.
Interesting. There's a lot of folks who have used cannabinoids, THC, CBD, CBG, whatever it is, and a lot of folks will try to incorporate that into their regimen in order to feel better. So with this process that you're using, are there no side effects? I mean, you just said that, but it essentially will people just not need anything? They don't need to use cannabis or otherwise in order to feel normal again?
No, I don't. I think, we're always going to need cannabis. Cannabis is it's a form of natural medicine, that I believe can definitely make a difference into even a cancer patient body. Just to give you a little bit of context, since we're going to go a little on the cannabis side, I've actually also researched on cannabis for the last 10, 12 years, as an alternate, unconventional source of therapy or, a treatment that does not have a lot of side effects that otherwise any other drugs in the market do. Now, I have an uncle who had an accident at a very early teenage of his time, which caused him epilepsy. And he's been on a major FDA approved drug for, well, now he's about to be in his late 40s on that drug since his early teenage. And his epilepsy episodes used to be quite frequent. And that's where I actually introduced, a mix of cannabinoids, THC and CBD combination oil. As my background, I'm an engineer by background. So, an engineer mindset always comes in. And I started just administrating him, on his epilepsy episode. And I kid you not, this guy who's been having all these episodes at least 3 to 4 times a month, actually starting seeing once a month, and then there came a point where he has every other month, with consistency of the use, in a limited capacity or a space, it drastically improved his condition. With cannabis. And
do you attribute that to just the THC and CBD, or are there terpenes within that profile that are specific to seizures that you know of?
To be honest, Josh, I didn't dig that deeper. Like I said, I actually, with all my research and some of my own experience, I actually, did a few of these combinations at home. I'm not gonna lie, just to kind of see if that works versus what you can get out of a shelf. And I live in a state where, unfortunately, THC is still considered, an illegal substance. So we have to either, go to a state where it's legal. And but I didn't get to dig deeper down into what exact terpenes would have helped his condition, essentially, which is, reducing the duration of his epilepsy episode and then prolonging the duration at which it comes.
Mm-hmm.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, and then I had another one. One of my family friends. She was very young. She's deceased now, and she got a stage 4 cancer diagnosed, very late stage. By the time I found out, it was very late. But I started doing the same thing with her, and her comments on that treatment was like, it definitely brings me to life. I know I'm gonna die, but
Mm.
this has something changed, that pain or the torture that a cancer patient has to bear, when they get the stage 4 brain cancer. And it helped her until the day she died.
Mm.
I think I asked her to do a CT scan, but I got really, we lost touch for a little bit to kind of see the difference. But the last time I had talked to her before she deceased, she said her doctor told her that her tumor stopped growing,
Wow.
which could have been huge. Yeah.
Do you think that there's any chance at all, if she were to use your technology coupled, with cannabis, for example, um,
Oh yeah.
there's
I have no.
Rick Simpson oil, for example, where if somebody were to use a suppository with Rick Simpson, that's been, there's anecdotal evidence that something as concentrated as this, bypassing the liver through a suppository, could, in theory, help. Have you heard of anybody trying that in conjunction with your process, and wondering if that would at all like double the success rate?
See, that's essentially what my goal is, Josh, is to get, first of all, for me to be even working with Immunicom. I'm one of those people who has to strongly believe in what you do before you actually get into it. And for me, I don't know if you can see my camera, um, but
Mm-mm.
for me, it's I want this to be eventually be considered a standard of care for cancer patient. So once we get this FDA approved and this becomes commercially available for every person to utilize this, yes, that's my next goal moving forward. Is to kind of do this therapy in conjunction with the administering of cannabinoid products and derivatives. And for that instance, I'm already working on building my platform. That's actually one of my part-time hustle or gig or whatever you want to call it, where I'm trying to research the best CBD Delta 8 companies, and then some with the THC incorporated, backed by research and lab testing. I'm bringing them onto a single platform, and then go out and market and get accessible to places where we may think there's still a big chance, and an education and an outreach that needs to be done, to change people's mindset. So I'm actually already working, building a platform on that. I don't know if I showed you that in Monaco, or I'll be more than happy to share that as well.
Yeah. How can people participate? You haven't gone through FDA approval yet, so are there some kind of exemptions or exceptions that people are allowed to that you're allowed to make in order to help some of these people? Like, I know that's a long process. How do you start now rather than later?
So that's one of our part of our prep program, and what we call it as the Master Protocol Pivotal Trial Studies. So we are actually planning on going into multi-sites across the U.S., and we're going to be hiring patients for these preclinical clinical trials. So that process has already started underway, and we will soon, disclose our partnerships along with some universities and hospitals across the US. Right now, I can say this much, that we are about to start a trial in Baylor College of Medicine. We got a small grant with NIH to start our trials. and we're going to be looking into HER-negative breast cancer. And so that's, I think, like people who would want an immediate access to this technology or therapy probably would have to come away on the clinical trials because we can't legally go and sell this to anybody without FDA approval on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys will be out and about. I know Seattle has a ton of cancer research center, the Children Cancer Center, and Fred Hutch and everywhere else that's up here. So hopefully you guys will be able to expand fairly quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Just to give you a little context of, so you also kind of understand is the summary of Immunicom essentially. This is basically essentially a column, and where we just subtract, what's not needed in your body, and this column gets attached to an apheresis system that can be found in all major hospital clinics, immuno-oncology infusion centers. So the only difference between this or like a drug comes in an infusion bag, and this comes out of a column, which is disposable, and it's very affordable, as compared to chemo or any other cancer therapy out there in the market.
What does that mean, affordable? How much are you talking about?
I'd say, so we do expect a patient to go through this therapy at least 48 times. That's spread out over 16 weeks. So we ask a patient to come 3 times a week and for 16 weeks. And each column, I would say, on a wholesale level, don't quote me on this, but it's just a rough estimation. I think it's going to go around $700 to $800 on a wholesale. Yeah.
That's total for 16 weeks? Or is that
no, that's
per session?
Per session.
Gotcha.
But that's just the column cost. There's going to be associating costs and everything. But we expect this therapy for the amount of 48 weeks to be, we're trying to keep it somewhere, within a very reasonable amount that's not even close to chemo.
And insurance would eventually pick this up after FDA approval.
So that's what we're working on currently in Europe. As a matter of fact, it's already gone for limited commercialization, and then we're working with the governments and the hospital systems in 5 countries in Europe to do a code for immediate reimbursement by insurance.
Is that an easier process, getting approved in Europe versus the FDA?
I think I would say it is, but Europe is getting much stricter. They've recently launched a new MDR, medical device regulation, where everybody has to register. They are picking back up, in a line to FDA, but generally I would say yes. It's a little, what do you call it? You can get patient population. It's also for us as an Immunicom, it was a matter of, who believed in us first and gave us an opportunity to go and conduct trials. Because we started off with grants and money wherever we could get some sponsored trials is where we went.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And this also works for, do I see canines on here? You were able to?
Yes. So we did preclinical trial was done on dogs. Yes. We got very good results. And that's another, kind of a branch of, we could have taken it away even for animals as well, because we have really good dog data on our column, and we actually saw not only the certain solid tumors we were targeting, we actually saw a reduction in brain metastases, meaning the brain tumor actually reduced among around 75% patients that we did, live patients that we did, came out with 75% reduction in brain metastases, which itself is huge. There's no cure for brain metastases. A lot of the patients, stage 4 or later, they end up dying because of brain metastases, not because of their original solid tumor that they were suffering with.
Do you have a personal opinion, maybe not backed by research yet, but do you have a personal opinion as to why more dogs are getting mast cell tumors and why cancer is so prolific now than it was just a couple of decades ago?
I if you were to take my personal opinion, I think the last we've changed a lot, as a whole world, right? Like we have evolved so much, and that has also introduced a lot of the issues and problems that we did not see it coming. I come from an energy background, but I also believe in global warming. We as a human, we're wasting so much, that eventually is affecting not only the environment but also these animals and dogs. So cancer develops over time, but something causes cancer. So going back at it, I think it is an evolutionary circle that we were coming through, with this age of technology, because everything has its good and bad. And technology, and then we're moving so fast, can have its good and bad. So I think that the environmental factor definitely impacted an increment of a lot of these cancers in animals as well.
All right. If people want to hear some more information, get a hold of you and try to get on a waiting list or whatever, where are you at, and how can people get a hold of you?
So we are headquartered in San Diego. We actually have a big office space in Houston, Texas. I am based in Houston, but our R&D team is in San Diego. And if people want to get a hold of us, I'll be more than happy to share our more information with them. They can reach out to me via email, or my phone number is also there.
Okay. All right. And I'll put your LinkedIn contact in the show notes as well. But
perfect.
I think with that, we're going to have to roll this one up. So I want to thank my guest, Ibrahim Basit. He's with Immunicom. Ibrahim, thanks again for being on the Talking Hedge.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.